Today we're going into teaching mode. We're grading a paper, the U.S. guidelines for food.
Food guidelines. Now, it's in an inverted pyramid shape. Did you notice that?
It seems like an odd choice. We're going to dive all the way in. We're talking about what they changed, what's good, what maybe is not so good, and maybe some of the rationale behind it. Welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Brad Winnie.
I'm Dr. Paul Zalzo. Imagine if the ancient Egyptians tried that stunt.
You'd
Put
be
the pyramid
teetering
upside down.
teetering on the little point.
Napoleon would have loved it.
He probably.
This is going to be easy.
That's right. Just we'll push it over. And the take-home message at the very beginning is that we're not telling you what specific foods or diet that you have to eat. No. You always get to pick. We're just going to try to provide the information, and then you get to make informed choices, whatever works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's important for governments to put out these food guides. I
100%.
think it's helpful for the population to see.
Yeah.
And our idea was just to go through this new one. They go through, I think they put out a new one like every 5 years or so.
Yep.
Canada doesn't seem to do that. I think
we just did one recently, though.
Did we?
Like 6 years ago or something.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
What happened to the 5-year?
I think because it was so good, it didn't need to be tweaked.
I don't know about that.
And I think the new administration was quite proud of this one.
Yeah. Oh, this year.
Yeah.
The American one.
The American government was quite proud of this one, and I'd say it was received with some optimism and some confusion.
Yeah. I mean, I read through. There's a lot of stuff with which I agree.
Some good stuff.
There's some stuff with which I'm not sure about, and there's some stuff with which I disagree.
Agree.
Just about like
I
everything.
agree with all that.
All of it?
It's like Goldilocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just before we jump into the food guide,
Yep.
we thought a little bit about food ourselves.
Right, we had done that video about that kind of the easiest diet kind of ever.
Yeah, and we came up with this plate, which we're going to talk about at the end of this video. So stick around.
Okay, so let's first start with the message from the secretaries. You can get this all online. It's all fully built. We'll put a link in the description. So the thing that I thought was interesting, which is quite good, they said we're going to talk about whole nutrient-dense foods. So a focus on real foods, dramatic reduction in highly processed foods. They mentioned unhealthy fats. They talked about the plight of the standard American diet that was reliant on highly processed food coupled with a sedentary lifestyle. And then later on, they went down to this changes today. Kind of mid-paragraph.
I thought that was cool. I also was interested in the first half of it. They put some references. They provided some references when they're establishing the scope of the problem. 70% of American adults are overweight or obese, with a reference. 1 in 3 American adolescents between 12 and 17 years are pre-diabetic.
Which is shocking.
That's
1 in 3 of 12 to 17-year-olds.
Right, and they provided a reference, which I thought was great. It's the first time I've seen this in the food guide. It's reference. Unfortunately, they didn't provide references for any of the recommendations, but at least they provided references to define the scope of the problem.
For me, there was one telling line that was a little bit of a red flag for me on the first page. It says, we are realigning our food system to support health of the American people. No, sorry, it was to support American farmers, ranchers, and companies who grow and produce real food. That was a bit confusing to me, to be honest.
I thought it was transparent.
It's super transparent. It's very honest. I would agree with you.
We're putting together this food guide.
This is our focus.
The sole goal of this food guide is not your health. One of the purposes of this food guide is to help the food economy.
Actually, that was the first goal. That's actually the first thing that they said. And then the second paragraph, they said, we're putting real food at the center of the American diet, real food that nourishes the body, real food that restores health, real food that fuels energy and encourages movement and exercise. I don't know that any food encourages movement and exercise unless you have to catch it. Maybe if you're like a chicken farm and you actually have to catch the chicken, maybe that would encourage exercise.
Some of the food's got bad. Maybe. I gotta get to the washroom quick.
Scientific integrity, I thought that was a useful term. I'm not sure that it was always appropriate throughout the whole guide. And then just the take home, and I totally agree with this, and we've said this 100 times, eat more real food.
Yeah, that's the introductory page. The other thing that I found interesting was that the president's name appeared in the food guide. I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen a prime minister or president's name appear in a food guide.
And I think they're going to have new hats that are going to be MAHA, the Make America Healthy Again.
I like that.
Yeah. You got the G, you got the H. I's next, so they're going to figure out something for I next. Okay.
But the other thing I really liked was that together we can shift our food system away from chronic disease and toward nutrient density nourishment. So the idea is we're looking more towards prevention.
Very Socrates and
treating. Right?
Yeah.
All the E's.
All the E's.
So that's the introductory page, laying out the groundwork. It's honest. They've referenced some stuff, haven't referenced other stuff. They've basically said, look, it's not just you we're worried about, it's the food industry we're worried about as well, which is important for a country as well. But you have to keep that in mind when you digest this.
And we talk about bias, so there's some inherent bias right out the gate.
Yeah. Now it's not even biased because it just told you about it.
Yes.
So this is what we're doing.
Okay, so we're gonna go through each section. We're gonna say, hey, we like it, we don't like it, like thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, so the first one, eat the right amount of food for you. So
Love
controlling, yeah, of course, like
Love it.
control your calories. We'll look up for portion sizes and hydration. It says is a key factor to overall health. Choose water, ideally. Avoid those sugary beverages.
Yeah.
And we talked with one of our nephrologist colleagues about this, Dr. Pandey. Said, kind of eat to your thirst or maybe just a hint beyond. And one of our urology colleagues says, hey, if you look at your pee, it's really yellow.
Yeah.
Drink more water. If it's mostly clear, then you're probably doing okay.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I think is, and we talked about this in our Twinkie diet video.
Yeah.
It's really calorie reduction for weight loss. And so this just saying eat the right amount for you.
Right.
And that's why I don't understand the all-you-can-eat buffet.
I understand it. I think I understand it's not good for your health.
They should have an all-you-should-eat buffet.
Yeah.
Right? A smaller plate, one trip, that's it.
But then do you pay according to your size though?
Well, all-you-can-eat buffet.
No, but all you should eat. Then
all
you could weigh in at the front. They're like, okay, bro, you're 160 pounds. You get this much food. It's $18.
I don't know about that, but all I'm saying is all-you-can-eat buffet. If you're going in there thinking I'm going to maximize my profits, it's a bad idea for your health.
That would be me, because inherently I'd be like, I got to get my value.
Yeah, get in there. Lift the table up over there. I'll put my plate here. Let's go. No, and the same thing with the all-you-can-eat wings or all-you-can-eat whatever.
Yeah.
It's not generally a good idea to eat with that mindset.
I would agree.
I'm going to eat all I can eat right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that I
what
love
if you had
that.
all you could eat takeout?
Oh, well, that driver would be busy at your
That's
household.
right. That's right.
Keep
Okay,
them
so
coming.
that's number one. Eat the appropriate amount. I'd say one hard thing though is
you ordered this on Tuesday. It's Thursday, and you're still going.
I would say some people struggle with knowing how much is appropriate. Like they're like, well, how do I know what my caloric intake is? There are guidelines available, but yeah, it is tricky according to your height, your weight, your activity level, and your age. So it's a hard number to know because you might think, well, my appropriate amount is 2,000. You eat 2,000, but actually it's 1,800. So every day you're actually gaining a little bit of weight. So I think you dive in a little bit to find out exactly what that number is.
Okay, that's fair. How about if you're gaining weight, reduce it?
Yes.
If you want to lose weight, reduce it.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, a 9-inch plate, right?
Yeah.
Not an 11-inch.
No.
Not a charger plate.
No.
Not a tray.
Fair.
All right?
Okay.
Fair. So love that. I love that it's first.
Me too.
Okay.
Okay, number two.
Prioritize protein food at every meal.
Yep.
I like that.
I like that.
I think that's reasonable. And there's been some evidence. Oh, and so where is all this coming from? Did the secretary just write up this food guide? No. There was a whole scientific panel.
Yes.
And they put out an appendix, which is like 160, 170 pages or more.
Yeah.
And that gives all the scientific backing.
How many people were on the panel? Do we know? And do we know how many of them actually had jobs in agriculture?
No, there wasn't a ton of bias in that panel.
No?
They used a lot of international research for their guidelines.
Okay.
So a lot of research from France and things like that.
Sure.
I did look at it, and it seemed legit. The scientific panel seemed legit. But the findings of the scientific advisory board don't always match 100%
Right.
what ended up
Doesn't
in this document.
translate kind of thing. They say, here's what we recommend. They say, okay, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
Yeah. So with respect to the proteins, I think where the nuance is how much you're supposed to get, 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram.
Right, which is a shift from the 0.8 that was kind of the standard RDA for a long time.
Yeah.
I would say most people recognize that probably 1.2 is kind of the new 0.8.
Okay.
I think there's less evidence for 1.6 unless you're like an exercising athlete, trying to specifically gain a lean muscle mass. I think that would be a bit of a push to justify that, but
And the advisory board was clear on that, said we need more research to find out the exact amount.
Yeah.
So it seems, so it's discordant with the advisory board to come and say, this is what you need, 1.2 to 1.6, whereas the scientific advisory board is like, we're not entirely sure how much you need.
I think it's also funny that the Americans are still using grams and kilograms.
Yes.
It's like that. Do you ever see that clip on Saturday Night Live with Nate Bargatze?
Yeah.
When he's talking about how they developed all the different measurement systems.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
But grams and kilograms is
Yes.
the best way to do
Yeah.
it. What I'm surprised with is that to put that in there, not everyone can do that calculation.
Right.
First of all, not everyone knows how many kilograms they weigh.
I think a lot of
I
Americans
don't.
would not
I only
know.
know my weight in pounds for one, so I'd have to do a conversion,
Okay.
and then I'd have to multiply it out. So can you do that for us, because you have the math
Sure.
brain? So let's say the average person is, okay, let's say if you're 160 pounds, say.
Let's go 154 pounds.
Okay.
154 pounds, so that's 70 kilos.
Okay, so 70 kilos.
Right, so then 70 times 1.2 is 84 grams of protein.
Okay.
And 70 times 1.6 is 112.
And he's not on the spectrum, but he can still do the math like this. It's incredible.
Living on the spectrum.
All right. So this is amazing.
Yeah.
So what was that? How much protein did you
So
have?
84 on the lower end.
84
Yep.
grams of protein.
Yes. And then, 112 for the 1.6.
Okay. So 84 to 1, if you're around that weight.
Yep.
Which you probably aren't. Nobody
No,
is.
almost no one is.
Probably a bit more. Most of us are.
Honestly, I'd focus on the 1.2. Don't even worry about the 1.2.
Okay, so say 1.2. So then, and you said 80 grams around?
Yep.
So you're looking at somewhere between 80 and 100 grams of protein. All right, just to put it in perspective, because you're not going to do this calculation on your own. I didn't.
Yes.
So 80 to 100 grams. So then you got to look at how much protein is in the food. Unfortunately, a piece of steak doesn't say how much protein it has in it, but a protein bar does.
Right. And there are some studies that talk about how much protein can be absorbed per meal. It's certainly debated, but around the 30 grams is the thought. So if you have 30 grams with every meal, that already gets you to 90.
Yeah.
What's interesting for me is in paragraph 2. So high quality, nutrient dense protein foods makes sense.
Yeah.
Ideally, you want them whole foods as opposed to like a shake or a bar. In a pinch, those certainly still could serve a purpose, or if you're really struggling to find food that has enough protein. But what I would say is like animal sources, so it says consume a variety of protein foods. And it starts with animal sources like eggs, poultry, seafood, and red meat. And then as well as plant source protein foods. So what I would say is I think, generally speaking, most nutritionists and health scientists would recommend more plants versus animals for health.
Yeah.
And I think what maybe the group that looked at this doesn't recognize is that all plants have protein, and there are certain plants that actually are complete sources of protein. We have a whole video about this, so I think you can get a lot of it from plants, but this kind of shows some of the focus of the eggs, the poultry, and the red meat. And honestly, the subsidies of these industries make sense why this is.
Yeah.
Even just dairy alone is estimated to be between $7 and $22 billion a year subsidies in the U.S.
Okay.
We have a whole video about dairy and about the cheese program. So there's some bias, but I think, yes, protein with every meal.
So fair to say that they got this wrong with respect to your health. Okay,
Yes,
and I
I'd
think
agree.
they get a lot of pushback from the American Heart Association and different dietitians and things like that. Just about all the science we've come across says go for plant sources first, animal sources second. They've listed animal sources first, plant sources second.
Yeah.
So they got that wrong for your health, but maybe that part of it is supporting the industry, as they mentioned in the intro.
I think for sure it would be. And we've talked before about red meat and cancer risk. I think I hate the word nuance because it just means we don't really get it.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit nuanced. Processed meat, not negotiable. Red meat, definitely there's a link. It's probably it is much less. So it's listed as a probable carcinogen as opposed to 100% a carcinogen like processed meats.
Fair. Okay.
So think about your protein, but it's important.
Okay, and then of course they talk about avoid deep frying and go for. I did tofu in the air fryer yesterday.
How'd it go?
It was really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
A little marinade.
Yeah, instead of frying.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's protein. Cool. Number 3. Consume dairy.
This is a whole paragraph on its own.
Well, it's curious that it was the third thing. Like it comes in above whole grains.
And vegetables.
And
And fruit. Like,
okay. All right.
on.
So
because we have a whole video about dairy, we're going to link it. Okay. So yeah,
we may or may not link it. That might not
I
happen.
think we might like it. There's a whole lot of subsidy of dairy. So there's a vested interest of the government to say, hey, we want to support our dairy farmers, which I get. But I think that there's reasonable evidence that dairy has been shown to be not good for you because of the saturated fat. And they actually specifically mention full fat dairy. So that's a little bit confusing to me. The other thing that I would say is that because so many people are lactose intolerant.
Right.
Like if you did the math of the 340 million people in America, African Americans, 90 to 95% are lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
And there's about 55 million African Americans in the US, so that's like 40 million people you're saying you should eat dairy 3 servings a day. American Asian people are approaching 100% intolerant, so that's another
protein.
Intolerant.
Yeah.
So they're almost 100% lactose intolerant. So that's another 7 million people or so you're saying, hey, you should eat 3 servings of dairy a day.
Yeah.
Sorry about your gas. And then about 25% all the rest of the people. If you're from like northern Scandinavia, your genes have changed enough to maybe be totally tolerant. But I think it's an odd recommendation. I recognize that it's a good viable source of protein. The saturated fat is concerning. You'd meet your caloric requirements if you're eating full fat dairy. If you're, say, 2,000 calories a day, 3 servings would meet all of your saturated fat requirements, or that 10% recommendation, which is a bit troublesome, as well as some evidence that shows dairy consumption is loosely linked with both prostate and endometrial cancer.
Yeah. Okay. So fair. You're gonna get some. They're gonna get some pushback from again American Heart Association probably.
For sure.
Dietitians and
Oncologists.
They're gonna get some pushback on the dairy for sure. It's odd that it's the third thing they pour. But I'm lactose intolerant actually myself. So I feel like with this statement they're supporting the toilet paper industry.
Yeah, maybe.
Heavily.
And interesting, the Canadian Food Guide actually says dairy's okay, but recommends low-fat dairy because of the saturated fat. They say, listen, we'd rather remove the fat, not necessarily replace it with sugar, which happened in the low-fat craze. But that's something.
And I love the gut health paragraph.
Okay,
hey, we're introducing gut health. We're teaching
it.
about gut health, but basically you got a ton of bacteria that you're supposed to have in your intestines.
And what do they recommend to support your gut health?
Vegetables,
fruits, fermented food, and high fiber foods from a diverse microbiome. So there, plants get kind of their
introduction.
There you go.
Hey, to the next paragraph. Eat vegetables and fruits throughout the day.
Yes, okay.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, colorful, makes sense. Those are the ones that have the highest vitamin contents in their original form, so they don't want them highly processed. They recommend washing them because of the associated pesticides and herbicides. Frozen, dried, and canned vegetables and fruits can play a role, which I also like. If your preferred flavor is salt, spices, and herbs, do this obviously carefully. If you're going to do juice, careful, no added sugar, and certainly recognize that this is a very dense form of calories. You like your orange juice, eh?
I do.
Every day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, every morning I have a glass of orange juice.
Yeah, and they recommend 3 servings of vegetables per day and 2 servings of fruit, which is interesting because in Canada we recommend 7 to 10 servings per day. Like double.
In a place where it's harder to grow this stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot colder.
Okay, so I love that.
I think they should have pushed more, to be honest with you.
Pump that up above the eat your dairy.
Yeah.
Okay, then we go into the incorporate your healthy fats.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Here they do say more high-quality research is needed to determine which types of dietary fats best for you. I thought that was good.
I thought that's good, but they said healthy fats are plentiful in many whole foods, and the first 3 things they mention are meats, poultry, and eggs.
Yeah.
If you're going to get healthy fat from an animal, I would say fish probably would be the first animal that has that. But the fish industry is not a big part of the USDA.
They just threw fish in with seafood.
Fish, the seafood's stuck in there. Nuts, seeds, full-fat dairy. Full-fat dairy got in there again. There's no healthy fats there. Olives and avocados. So we're really talking about omega-3s, and a bunch of these have saturated fat, which is it's a really weird choice, and it's odd that the 2 plant suggestions are at the end. Well, 3, I guess, because of the nuts and seeds. Yeah, it's odd.
Okay, odd. And again, the Scientific Advisory Board wouldn't support this and their findings, but it made it into the guide. All right.
I think it was honestly a way to promote meat and dairy, really.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wish they said, listen, omega-3s are really good for your brain and really good for your heart, but no cardiologist telling you to have full-fat dairy.
But at least they did leave the way out with the more research is required.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That was one good thing that they maybe put that at the beginning.
Maybe. Okay, whole grains. Focus on whole grains. Love it.
Yeah, put that up higher. Put that before eat your dairy.
No, they don't want it higher.
Okay, and that one's supported by the science. Easily supported by the Scientific Advisory Board. Yes.
Yeah, so they said fiber rich. We are all about fiber. It has so many benefits for you. Really critical. Most people get like 15 grams. You probably should be getting in the 30 to 40 grams per day. It says reduce the consumption of highly processed refined carbohydrates. 100% totally agree. I think people get confused about being afraid of carbs. So refined carbs and sugar, very bad. Whole carbs, like complex starches, are actually very, very good for you, necessary to provide good energy, help restore your glycogen after exercise, and have many, many health benefits. In Canada, we recommend 6 to 8 grains, at least half of them being whole grains. This recommends 2 to 4 servings per day.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I mean, they didn't put in the grams that are recommended as they did with the protein.
No, usually they don't. It's like a serving, depending on what the grain is.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're about half of what you do in Canada. They don't, but they do recommend whole grains. So there you go.
Fair. We'll take it.
All right, take it.
Love this.
Me too.
Limit highly processed foods, added sugars, and refined carbs.
This is a big, our RFK is really big on this, and I like that he's got some stuff that he's really passionate about, and I think this is one of them that's really
amazing.
important.
And you know what? You are sticking it to a lot of big industry.
Yes.
Because big industry is tied to processed foods like crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And now we're saying, hey, sorry, we don't want your stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're killing us.
Yeah.
And you're costing the healthcare system a ton of money.
So limit foods and beverages that include artificial flavors, petroleum-based dyes, artificial preservatives, and low-calorie, non-nutritive sweeteners. avoid sugar-sweetened beverages, and says while no amount of added sugar or non-nutritive sweeteners is recommended, we should consider limiting it to 10 grams. But I think, yeah, generally speaking, we know that it's not good for us, and we know that it disrupts our microbiome. Even the non-sugary sweeteners, which is confusing. You think, why does it even matter? But you know, it's still going in, and our bodies are doing something to it.
It's messing with the bacteria.
And more evidence is coming that they're probably not good for us. Lots of fear mongering about cancer in them. I think the links to cancer for the non-nutritive sweeteners is pretty weak at this point.
No, but it's the gut health. That's
the gut health for sure.
Okay, and then they, of course, go into what, and they even teach you, say, look, ingredients that end in the word sugar, syrup, or ose, and they've listed a bunch in case, because sometimes you get tricked and you're thinking, oh, well, it's agave syrup, that must be good for me. Agave?
Yeah, agave, nice.
But it's not.
How about turbinado? Do you ever use turbinado sugar?
No, it sounds like a winter storm.
It does.
Sounds like a.
But Stephen, they've named it clever. Like even that last one, the Acifame K. We've talked about that one before, and that you'd be like, "What even is that?"
Yeah, it sounds like Special K.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So there you go. Here it is.
This one's
alcohol beverages.
Yeah. So the kind of general message of limiting alcohol, I think, is good. But it says consume less alcohol for better overall health.
Okay. The big difference is what they said before. 1 to 2.
1 to 2 per day.
2 for men, 1 for women.
Per day.
Per day. Per day.
And so they said consume less. So I like that message. However, it's pretty vague.
You think so?
Yeah, because I think research, would undeniably say the safe amount of alcohol is 0. And I think you could say you should consume less. Ideally, for health, you should consume 0.
Yeah. I think the issue is prohibition didn't work. I think alcohol is so ingrained in the culture
You're not taking it away. You're just telling them that they shouldn't do it.
But I think then people just shut it off. Say, no, forget it. I don't buy any of this.
I'm going back to the old food
guide. Which is the same risk with when you put the president's name in there. Because you got to think, you know, these days, leaders win by such narrow margins. Half the population doesn't.
Is the U.S. polarized?
So what that runs the risk is, like, if I'm the leader, if I'm the prime minister, I don't want my name in there because I know half my population doesn't like me.
Right.
Right? And if I put my name in there, as soon as they see my name, they're going to throw this thing in the garbage.
Right. It is tricky.
And I think the same thing with the alcohol. If you say 0 alcohol, then people say, yeah, forget this thing. It's not
for me. That would be unfortunate if nutrition guidelines became political.
Well, yeah.
But I honestly think that both the Republicans and the Democrats, regardless of who's in, I still think they pander to agriculture because it's a big part of the economy and USDA and all.
So the alcohol industry is huge too.
For sure.
It's hard to come and say 0. I mean, I thought it was nice that they said consume less alcohol for better.
Yeah, soft line. I think they could have gone further, but sure, better than before. But some people might say they used to recommend 2, but you know, I feel like 3 is better for my health.
Yeah, I guess you could. It's open to interpretation.
Right.
But they did give good cautions about, you know, medical conditions that can interact, family history of alcoholism, be mindful of alcohol consumption, right? If you have addictive behaviors.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good. Pregnant women don't drink, which was good. So I mean, I don't have a huge problem with the alcohol statement here. You do, I know, but I don't.
I just think it's not honest. I don't think it's honest.
Consume less alcohol for better overall health.
It's intentionally vague.
Okay, then they come in with sodium stuff.
Yeah, so 2,300 milligrams. We've talked about this. We have a whole video about salt. So that's actually 1 teaspoon. That is a very small amount. If you eat any processed food, you're going to be meeting your salt requirements. Yeah. I think some people in the day of pink Himalayan sea salt and fancy salts worry about iodine deficiency. This is actually very uncommon. But the thing about iodine is interesting. It's critical to make thyroid hormone. 4 little molecules of iodine are attached to a tyrosine amino acid to make thyroid hormone. So if you get iodine deficiency, it would usually take months of essentially no iodine. So the people that would be biggest at risk would be people who are truly, strictly plant-based, no processed food. You could get it, and then I'd say consider adding a little bit of salt. Even half a teaspoon of salt, which is 1,100 milligrams in a teaspoon, you get 150 milligrams of iodine, which is about your daily requirement. So you can do it that way.
There you go.
Regular old table salt.
All right, and then they go into special population, early childhood, so I don't think we need to go into stuff about that. Infants and toddlers.
Yeah.
You know, they went into a lot of detail there. And I thought this document was good. It's not too long.
Yep.
They do a little section on older adults.
I thought the nutrient-dense food, I think, is really important because often older adults consume less calories. So you want to waste kind of less calories with no protein or no vitamins, no minerals. So you gotta be a little careful that way. Okay, and then
a little section for you
a little note on the very last page about vegetarians and vegans.
Yeah.
And I think interesting here is in the second line, it still talks about dairy and eggs in line 2. Like essentially it's first. And then they go beans, peas, lentils, legumes. I thought, come on, like here's your chance. Like, really?
Yeah, well, I guess that's the vegetarian as
I
opposed
know,
to the
but
vegan.
come on. Wouldn't you say plants and then say if you are a vegetarian, put it at the end?
Yeah, fair.
I agree, limit highly processed vegan foods. Some of them are delicious, but they're definitely not healthy. So if it's an environmental concern, that's why you did it. Makes sense. You know, it saves the animals, but it's not necessarily good for your health. It should be kind of like chips. Kind of can be fun, but you probably don't have to do it all the time.
What?
Like highly processed vegan foods. Vegetarian diets often fall short in vitamin D and E, choline, and iron. What I would say about D, everybody's short of D, not just plant-based eaters, so most people would need a supplement.
I take a D.
B12 is an issue for many people. 6% of people in the US and greater than 20% of people that are over 60. So regardless of what you eat, if you feel off, you should discuss it with your doctor, consider a supplement or just take a supplement. Choline, like 90% of Americans don't meet their choline needs. Best sources are actually eggs, liver, and cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, you can get it a little bit, but eggs are probably the biggest source of choline. That's why the egg people can say, oh, choline, choline, choline. And then
that's why the AI Brad talks about the choline.
Does he?
Yeah. Or is it AI Paul? One of our AI doppelgangers goes on about eggs.
Yeah. There you go.
I liked it. All right, there you go. Overall, what do you give it? What grade do you give this thing?
Like a C minus.
What?
Yeah.
That's harsh. I gave it a B plus.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
You're an easy marker. Okay, maybe a C. I'll give it a C.
I gave it B plus.
I'm just confused by, particularly like, yeah. It's a C,
There you go.
A C for me.
Oh, so like we promised, we thought about food ourselves.
Yeah.
And we came up with a little plate.
Made a plate.
It's a Talking with Docs plate.
9 inches in diameter.
It's 9 inches on the inside.
Yeah.
It's a little bigger on the outside, but that's just to hold the food in.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go flying off when you turn around.
I like the little lip.
Yeah, and then you can see half the plate or 2/4 are veggies, period. We got 1/4 of protein.
Yep.
And 1/4 of grains.
Yep.
Watch out for the corn.
Protein can be plants or animals, obviously.
Plants or animals.
Yep.
Grains, remember corn is grain, not a vegetable.
Yep.
But you got to get half the plate full of vegetables. This kind of looks a little bit like the Canadian Food Guide. A little
Agreed.
bit more
Totally
than that. See how it's not a pyramid? Because nobody likes to eat off a pyramid. But it's a plate.
Yeah.
And the idea is it's 9 inches, so you're not going to overflow yourself. You're going to get enough vegetables.
It does look kind of small compared to normal plates, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I could live with that.
I could too.
Yeah.
But I think historically they're getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat.
So there you go. If you're interested, check out in the comments section or check out in the description section. We may have a link.
Okay.
We may not. I don't know, but we might.
Might have a link.
If we can get a bunch of these made.
All right.
There you go. Let us know if you like our plate and
There
if
you
you think you can eat off this plate.
There you go. And if you like this video, please like it. Subscribe to our channel. So many of you are still not subscribed. And share it with someone that you think needs a little bit of extra lighthearted information about the American Food Guide.
And remember, you are in charge of your own health.
We'll see you next time.